欢迎收听只有欢乐没有慢热，
只有特色绝对炙热的最佳播客 Sip and Tell。
我是常客包子，
我是常客 Khim
And I am Ron.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben and Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes. 今天呢，我们要聊的那个话题其实吃一点 ice cream 心情会比较好一点。
为什么呢？今天聊的这个话题是什么呢
？Mental health.
Exactly. So 很多时候 I think dessert like ice cream, it really brings you like comfort. So when you're feeling down, when you're feeling low, have a pint of ice cream that really helps.
Yeah.
I mean, to me.
So make room for indulgence because Ben & Jerry's has launched 2 new flavors, which is the Dublin Mud Slide and the Chewy Gooey Cookie.
And on top of that, Ben & Jerry has collaborated with Sauerbom Artisanal Bakery. And this is already happening and it's until 13th of August 2022. Okay, they are releasing 3 exclusive donut flavors inspired by the latest ice cream flavor, which is called Brûlée Hooray, Gooey Glory, and Doubling Down.
Wow.
Sounded very delicious, right?
Yeah, so grab them now, okay? Grab them
limited.
now.
Okay, limited. And we have a very special guest. We keep talking about ice cream until we haven't introduced him.
The ice cream is more important. Yeah.
Right, cannot say that.
Okay, how about you introduce yourself while we taste the ice cream?
Of course, of course.
You want to eat?
Hi guys, I'm Ron. I actually run an Instagram page called MentalhealthCEO that's dedicated to raising mental health awareness and destigmatizing mental illnesses. Yep. Thank you.
And let me pass you your share.
Yeah,
Of
you
course.
deserve it.
What's this?
Cheers.
Cheers,
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 Ben
cheers.
& Jerry's.
And cheers to mental health.
Yeah.
Cheers to mental health.
Chewy
Actually,
gooey cookie.
I knew Ron for quite a while.
Right,
already.
right.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
we did
And interview together, right? Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I interviewed you.
You interviewed me. Yeah, you interviewed
I was
me.
sitting behind it. Yeah. So that was the reason why that when we thought about the topic on mental health, right, he immediately popped up in my head. Yeah, because he's very active in this field, and he runs the Mental Health CEO page on Instagram.
Okay.
And he's been advocating like to just give information and to give some help to those people who are feeling. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects
conditions.
into conditions too, and we're talking about mental health condition. People will there's a stigma where we say mental health illness.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. People call it like illness and things like that.
Yeah. A lot of people think that it's like, oh, you have a mental illness, it means like you're like crazy and stuff, but then that's actually not the case lah.
So before we dive in deeper into mental health issue topics, 我们的观众呢已经写信进来给我们，然后我们已经把他的故事呢拍成了一个 short film.
Yes.
Yeah, 也是 regarding mental health 的这个 topic， 所以我们先看一下，好不好？
Yep. And
Sure.
this is how the story goes.
我是凯琳，今年22岁，刚刚踏入社会，目前是一名实习生。
小可早，
凯琳早。
喜欢在社交媒体上分享生活的小细节。我本来也是个挺乐观的人，直到依依自杀。其实人到底需要多大的勇气，才会选择自杀？
我很想念 Daniel。Daniel 已经走了半年了，可是我满脑子里都是他对我说，要我改，要我改，要我改掉占有欲这个坏习惯。我有啊，我真的有改啊，可是为什么他还要自杀啊？你不要再做这种傻事好吗？万一你有什么事情，我也会很难过的。但对我来说，这是解脱。那你爸妈？
其实 Daniel 是受不了依依的占有欲，才选择自杀的。我想依依需要专业的心理辅导，可是心理咨询的费用，还真不是我这种实习生能负担得起的。但以他目前的状况，还是先把事情解决再说吧。
Hi, hello， 依依你好，我是 Steve， 我是凯琳的朋友，也是一名心理咨询师。之前凯琳有和我分享了一些你的状况。
万万没想到依依这么不配合。既然除了我，他对谁都不愿意开口的话，那就由我来当他的心理咨询师吧。听说海浪的声音能治愈不愉快的心情，带依依来走走，希望对他有帮助。也不忘分享当心理咨询师的第1天。
谢谢你，凯琳。客气什么？
他笑了。当我真感觉自己成功时，噩梦悄悄开始了。
来，我们今天吃什么呢？
麻辣香锅！
耶！来，我们今天吃什么呢？
依依对我的占有欲也开始了。
大辣，你敢吃吗？
来呀，别逼你。
这个是我的。
喂，依依。依依，你先别哭，好好跟我说到底发生什么事情。
现在快点过来！
好，你在哪里？在家吗？
当下我最害怕的是依依又自杀，所以立刻赶去她家。
你没事吧？我好怕啊！
结果
蟑螂！
就因为一只蟑螂，
你不要怕，我帮你收拾 ，OK？ Hello，
喂，凯琳，你在哪里？经理在找你。哦，快点回来。
我马上回来，拜拜。
你可不可以留下来陪我啊？
我还要回去上班呢，蟑螂我已经帮你收拾了。
那下班后我去找你好吗？
好啊，可是我今晚会很迟下班，改天好不好？
好。
那我先走了，有什么事 text 我。
实话说，我还真的有点生气，可是又不能说他什么。终于下班，当你以为一天的忙碌要结束了，
就是哦。
依依忽然出现。
依，你怎么会在这里？
我来找你吃晚餐的。
可是我跟我同事约好了，改天吧。
其实我内心是非常抗拒的，可当我看见他手腕上包扎的伤口，
小凯，不好意思，我们改天再去吧。
哦，那好吧，明天见，拜拜。
拜拜。
凯琳，我想喝红酒。
此时我能想象依依的占有欲是有多可怕。
他一直说他受不了我的自私，我哪自私了？爱一个人，想要留在他身边，有错吗？
我明示我困了，该回家了。
时间不早了，
要不然你先去洗个澡，你也可以穿我的衣服啊。
但依依就始终不想让我走。
你今晚留下来陪我，好不好？
渐渐我发现我的正能量大量的流失，我也害怕有一天会患上忧郁症。却在此时，依依分享了一张人在高处的照片，照片里写着 "Looks like it's a good time to fly"， 这地方好像和 Daniel 当年跳楼的地方一样。给依依打电话也打不通。
依依，那里很危险，你先过来好吗？
为什么我没有 Daniel 那么勇敢？
你不需要这种勇敢，真的。
为什么他要离开我？我怕你也会离开我。
我不会离开你的，真的。
这段友谊我真的经营得好累。
你先回来好吗？我们好好聊聊。
凯琳，答应我，不要离开我，好不好？
作为朋友，我尽责了。可这样下去，即使我不会选择自杀，但我也会崩溃。我想躲开他，可是又怕他乱来，我该怎么办？
蛮 intense。
I need to eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Sorry 我要吃 ice cream.
Understand,
看了很
understand.
stress.
好像我们拍了那么多集，我们分享的都不同的故事啊，每一次都有一点点我人生的缩影在里面。Because very long ago, actually, I did another YouTube video with Tosh on our channel. I actually shared a little bit on my past mental health journey because I had a period of like depression. So when I watch some of the like. It just sort of like reminds me of those days that you feel that so stranded. You feel that there's your life is totally, no motivation. You don't know how to pull yourself out from that very deep hole.
We can't discredit people that are feeling depressed. I think that's for sure, right?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
how to describe it, right? If you have depression, right, it's like if you are strapped to a chair, right, and then people asking you to get up, right? So it's this whole process of being asked to do things which sometimes you really cannot do, that sometimes feels very invalidating. That's why when people say like, oh, just get over it, I just think positive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you really cannot do that, and that's what just hurts so much about having depression and even other mental health conditions as well.
Yeah. So what about looking at Kai Ling's
Right.
position? What if 如果你是凯琳的话 in her position, how would you handle this situation? Or how would you make sure you are not strapped to a chair as well? Because she's also falling into that place, as you can
And
see.
she actually did a lot. If you
Yeah.
look
Exactly,
if you look at the film, right, she actually did a lot. Like she literally has been there for almost every single scenario, even with the cockroach.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it caught her lah.
exactly.
I mean that with that她因为她不知道发生什么事，听起来好像非常紧张吧。
是
End up 她是一个 cockroach.
Yeah, lor.
Yeah.
So what are your views?
Exactly. So if you're in Kaling's position, I think that as a friend, she's really done a lot. So she paid with both her time and also, in fact, her real money as well to pay for the counseling session.
Sessions, yeah.
And I think just to make a point on that, Kaling saw that the fees for professional counseling are like a few $100, 180, that kind. I think one thing to know is that there's actually more affordable
Subsidies,
options.
is it?
Yeah, out there as
okay.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get it from polyclinic. There's a whole host of like maybe like the Samaritans of Singapore if you need
Right.
help. So there's a whole host of cheaper and more affordable options. Then I'll assume that would be a private therapist that Kylie was seeking. So as a friend, I really feel that so on one hand, you actually are considerate of your friend who's also having mental health conditions. But on the other hand, a phrase that I like to say is that you cannot pour from an empty cup. On one hand, you care about your friend's mental health, but on the other hand, you should also have certain boundaries to protect your own mental health as well. Yeah. So another metaphor I like to use is that on an airplane, right, you actually want to when let's say there's an accident happening, you want to put on your own like a mask first, oxygen mask first before you actually help your friend or your loved one. So in this case, right, if I were in Kaling's position, I'd actually be more assertive about my own boundaries to protect my own mental health in order to become a better caretaker for EE as well.
But I think the dilemma that she has in that situation is if she set her boundaries, there might be a possibility that
Exactly.
if let's say Kalin really ended her life, then she will if ended her life, then she will be regretting this for the rest of her life.
I'm also very curious. E got no family meh? And you only got one friend meh?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, yeah.
It's a good point because like sometimes we feel like we have to carry this burden alone. A lot of the times, especially if it's our close friend or our loved one, when in fact it's actually a good idea to bring in the wider support network so that you don't have to carry this burden on your own shoulders.
Yeah, she can't thank herself ma. So if family is involved, other closer friends are involved, then they can share the load sort of in making sure that she's okay, and then Kylie can rest also a little bit because it's so tiring, it's affecting her work as well. I think that's an issue.
Well, maybe in terms of like if I put myself in her shoe, there's a possibility. I mean, of course we are basically setting possibilities 啦。可能家人对她的理解真的没有很 and this is what happened to me also when I was having that little depression period. That when I told my family members about how I was feeling, not everyone get it. Because they feel that like what we mentioned, they would just feel that, oh, is it because you're just going through a very down period? You can go and go out and just have some fun, try to regain back your positivity, and that's what they feel, that it's a down period. It's not something. It's not a condition that you are having. So I mean that might be the problem. End up 就是可能你 family 没有 support, and probably Kai-Ling is the only one around her that showed her that kind of moral support. Then it becomes her lifeline, you see. 我觉得有可能啦，I mean 我不可以说based on 他写的东西，我只是猜测说有可能是这样。That's why 依依最后他会选择只是靠着凯琳去，好像那个是他的救命的一个稻草这样。Once you lose it means
Wow.
Heavy, it's a tough situation.
Very tough, leh. What would you, I don't know what would I have done, but I would definitely want to involve more people.
Of course.
And maybe as a friend, as a third party, right? You are in the position to speak to her parents or family and let them understand how severe this is, as not as light as they think.
Right.
To let them know that, and also maybe tell them that, hey, my life is a little bit affected right now also, and I think, you know, it would be nice that you guys also step in and understand. I think a lot of communication is needed in this point of time for EE and for Kai-Ling,
Exactly.
you know, to make things better, because sooner or later Kai-Ling will snap as well.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so unhealtty, you know, from how it is.
From our actor, I already can see that.
She's
she's
half
snapping
already.
already.
The rubber band left a little bit only. 你再顺一下，它就
你没有想刚开始的时候，他是很活泼，
对
到后面他已经是 shag out 到一个点。
Wow, her life like really like sucked out from her lah.
Yeah. And she can't eat her 麻辣香锅. I will be damn pissed if people stop me from eating 麻辣香锅. Don't stop me from my 麻辣, no? Hell no, not a cockroach.
Is that the takeaway that you got?
我再讲一点幽默的东西，
是
因为有点太沉重了。
是没错。没有
I think one other avenue that helps, right, that actually could help was that when EE actually tried to seek a counselor that Kai-Ling actually tried to help her to find, she had a lot of like resistance to it.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've been in that position before lah, where someone I know actually has that stigma of like, if I go to a counselor, will I be seen as crazy and stuff like that? I think something that actually helps, right? Especially now that I think the whole pandemic situation is being lightened, right? It's actually to bring them to the physical counseling space so that they feel safer in person as compared to over Zoom and maybe a bit like awkward, maybe a bit tough for the person.
Yeah, so I think bringing them to a physical consultation, as in the human touch, right?
Human touch.
It's very different from like we watching someone from the screen. Yeah, because you don't feel that warmth. I mean, 很多时候 like 像你讲 during pandemic 我们没有那个选择嘛。
Exactly.
Yeah, so now we have the choice of bringing them down. Okay, but 如果真的 like when I look at Kai-Ling, when I look at her position, then 你要如果我真的变成是她，我也真的没有任何一个 there's no way out 嘞，因为 it's that's the dilemma. Like 我怎么办？如果我不帮她，如果 I don't be there for her, and 有一天
他真的死了。
对 then the next moment we have received the message is 他已经离开了，and I have to live with that guilt for the rest of my life.
I think even for professional like counselors and like therapists, right? I think what is taught, right, is that even no matter how much you do, no matter how hard you try, right, there'll always be certain things that happen that's kind of out of your control. Just like how no matter how good of a doctor you are, sometimes you really cannot save people lah. So in that case, even as a friend or as a family member, when you look back and you know that you've actually tried your best to help this person, I think that can ease the pain somewhat lah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
就是
true.
问心无愧啦。
Yeah.
In a way, yeah. 因为依依她的 condition 是depression. But out of that, she's also very
Possessive.
Yeah. 作为你们来说 like which part of EE, right, probably is something that you all really cannot take on. Like if we have a friend like that, like we know that they have a mental health condition.
I think sometimes I lack sympathy
Understand.
because I feel like
They are
I don't like people to threaten me.
Understand.
I feel that my boundary is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can help you. I can do it. Will be relationship or friendship, kinship. Unless I'm very sure that this person really damn jialat already.
Right.
But before the person reach this jialat state, right, I would have done all my ways to try to seek help for the person. But what I cannot stand is threatening. Because I'm like, hey, if I give it to you once, it's gonna come back again and again.
Exactly.
And then what makes me? I will go crazy too. So my boundary, maybe I lack sympathy, but maybe that's just a boundary of mine that I feel that you 你可以做一个好人，可是不会做烂好人。
是。
对，不可以这样子。
And I think might be the reason 为什么towards the end, right, that dependency kicks in, because
Yes.
maybe it's the first time that
Because you're enabling the
Kylie
behavior.
giving her the
Yes.
first time, then Yi starts to
Yes.
just cling on to the lifeline and keep every
Exactly.
time there's something that's happening, she will always go to her.
Exactly. So
And
we can't be the
yeah.
enabler, because if you become enabler, then you are also doing something wrong already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I believe there are other ways to seek help for your friend, like bringing her to a place physically for counseling. If she's not comfortable, I will go with you.
Right.
Yeah. And you're there, you can also say, hey, actually, I'm very stressed. I also need to share my problems, sort of.
Yeah,
So that she
yeah,
won't feel
yeah.
that, oh, you think I'm siao, that's why you want to bring me there.
Exactly.
Yeah, to make her feel like you're on the same page, sort of. I think there are a lot of ways to prevent things to be at that stage of where
Exactly.
Kylie and Yi is
Yi
at.
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the threatening part for me is a no-no.
It's a big no-no. lah.
Yeah, big
Definitely.
no-no.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, right, have you guys actually helped out anyone that has mental health conditions before?
I'm
Yeah.
sure he
So yes.
I think you probably are the
quite
most,
a fair bit.
most
Quite a fair bit.
certified one to
Yeah.
say this,
Yeah. So I think for me, because I run a social media Instagram page, right? Sometimes actually in the past as well, sometimes I actually try and help people via online text and via like Instagram DMs. There have been a few cases, but for me, I think I've actually managed to deal with several of them. For a lot of these people, right, actually they don't really need that much of like a pushing force. Rather, what they need, right, is someone to listen to them.
The pair of listening, yeah.
Exactly, because in their own lives, maybe the people around them they don't offer such listening ears to them, even through text, right? I think this kind of support can be very powerful. Also, like, but on the other hand, like as you said, we don't want to be like enablers in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even at my stage, I think a lot of people try and like seek me out to try and find like help from someone, even if it's a stranger, if it is like someone that you've never seen before on the internet. So at that stage, you have to kind of establish your own boundaries as well, as you were saying, and say that you sometimes really can't help everyone.
Yeah,
I mean, that was the question I was about to ask you, because you have a lot of his Instagram page basically has, I think, 100k over followers. If every single one that follows you has something in the day and they have to DM you have to look
Exactly,
through,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think there was one point in time I put it in my bio that if you need support, drop me a DM. Yeah. And as you can imagine, that wasn't the best idea, because literally everyone came to find me. So I think that was a learning lesson in itself, that I personally have my own kind of like battery level as well.
Yes,
And
exactly,
if that battery level depletes, I can't even help the people around me in real life. So I think there's a limit as to how much we can actually offer.
Yes,
our
because
help.
Ron's only human too.
Today he's here also. I think I wanted to get him to share a bit about his personal stories to everybody.
Yes, please.
Yeah. 因为他也是有经历过那个就是所谓的 mental health condition 的 period and the recovery process.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe you want to share with our listeners like what you've been
Yeah,
through.
of course. So I think for me, really my main condition is anxiety lah. And I've been super duper anxious for like the longest time. In fact, I didn't even know that what I had for like many years lah was anxiety. And especially like for me, it was in a form of social anxiety. Yeah, so I would like replay situations in my head. I would think to myself, oh, should I have said this or said that, or should I have done this or done that? Then I would actually try and like sometimes like memorize like certain like conversational like aspects to try and make myself seem like a better or more socially kind of like skilled kind of person. And sometimes it would be so bad, right, that I would be like sitting at the void deck every night for like 2-3 hours every day, just like replaying the situations in my head lah.
You mean like just sit there?
Yeah, and then I would like pretend as if like I was talking to someone else. So people like when they walk in by, they thought like, oh, is this guy like crazy?
Oh,
What's
so
he
you are
telling
actually
himself?
talking.
Sometimes. Most of the time it's like in my head. I was just like emo at one
So do
corner.
you hear like voices?
No, not. Thankfully don't.
是 hallucination.
Schizophrenia.
That's also
schizophrenia.
that's
Oh,
also
is it?
one form of
It
mental
is
health
mental health
condition.
I
condition.
see.
Yeah.
So
Also.
what happens when you have the anxiety?
Oh.
Like, do you panic? Do you know?
Yeah, so whenever I have anxiety, I tend to like shut down. Yeah, I tend to like retreat into my own head in a sense. Because I'm usually like quite introverted one. Yeah. So I'm quite shy and introverted. Then I'll like actually find one corner to go there and like sit and sulk and like, think about what I should do next, what I should have done in the past. So I think that was one form of anxiety. Then because actually OCD OCD is an anxiety disorder itself. So that was the foundation for it eventually progressing into OCD.
Right.
Yeah. So like for me like OCD is actually obsessive compulsive disorder. So you have an obsession and then you have a compulsion in order to try and relieve the anxiety like in the short term lah. So actually like for me a lot of times it's actually about school and grades as well, because I think that that's only one of the few things that I was good at. So for example during A levels I had this like very bad habit to write after the paper ended. Yeah, so they say pens down. Then I'll still continue writing. Yeah, I try and like write behind people's back. So one time during my geography paper, I was actually caught by the examiner.
Oh, man.
So they would have like failed you or something.
Yeah, it's like if they caught me right, and then they kind of like actually they did like they reported me to SCAB all that, so I had to give the interview and stuff. So I almost got a T grade lah in that sense, which is the same grade for like cheating lah.
Okay,
in that sense.
okay.
So I was thinking to myself, why would I do such a thing? In fact, it was a rational thing lah. Only until many years later did I like realize that actually it was
a condition.
Damn.
OCD lah. This desire to finish the sentence, otherwise I would like fail or anything like something like that.
Oh my god.
But I mean, OCD, anxiety is one thing. Then like depressions that we saw, like there are other form of mental health conditions
Exactly.
like bipolar, like also body dysmorphia. But is there like any general like telltale signs that you can observe that maybe this person is suffering from some kind of mental health condition,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a whole range of conditions, but in general, right, if someone around you displays symptoms of, let's say, they are way more tired than usual, or they are way more jittery, or something bothers them much more than they should, they may have certain compulsions. And like for example, for me I let's say I check the alarm very compulsively. So I'll go and sleep and I'll wake up and I'll check, is the alarm on?
I do that all the time leh.
But 我也会啦，这个是 I mean, but 不是 every single day, right?
Yeah lah,
不
是 every single day,
Yeah, I mean, it's just that when you have shows lah.
Yeah, when it becomes more than what
Just-
is usually.
yeah.
I think also for a lot of people with mental health conditions, let's say their room gets very disorganized or their appearance gets very unkempt lah, in a sense. So it's all these really small things that you kind of have to be aware of lah. Or when let's say it's a colleague, right? And you find that their standard of work is actually dropping, and you realize that they're actually capable of much more. Right? Or sometimes they have long periods of absence, or they go to the toilet for a long time. Sometimes they go there to like think about life and like sometimes even cry. For the more serious cases, let's say someone is at risk of suicide, so they could be doing things like giving their things away. Yeah. So when they give away possessions, right, or they start to write very like cryptic notes, like what if how would you react if one day I just disappeared? So when people start asking questions like these, you know that there's something a little bit off.
Something's off, yeah.
So it's all these subtle signs, because people don't usually like admit so openly that they have a mental health condition or that
And
they are
sometimes
struggling.
they might not be even aware, that's the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right,
I think when
exactly.
you're not aware, it's the most
Yeah.
dangerous also.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was what I faced for a long time.
Right.
Because I didn't even realize that what kind of anxiety I was facing could even be considered a condition. I didn't even realize that what I had was OCD lah, even. Yeah.
Because I think sometimes we just mistake it as a general emotion, you know. It's
Exactly.
like I just feel very low, very down for a day. Like those things that you said as sometimes I just feel that my work is not up to standard. I feel like I'm very tired. But those might be the signs. Yeah. But if it prolongs, is there like sort of like a period that you should observe, or you know?
So a period like that you should observe whether you have a condition.
yeah.
Is it? Actually, like in my own opinion, right, I personally think that it's always better to get yourself checked and also to seek help for it. Like the same way we will go to the doctor for like a cold or like even like a small condition like that, we should also, in my opinion, like actually visit a mental health professional in order to prevent it from getting worse. No matter like whether we feel like we have a mental health condition or not.
I have a friend who has a tendency to cheat.
Oh, I see.
Meaning he loves his partner a lot lah. But then it seems like he leads a second life sometimes.
I see.
Is that like, I don't know what, is that bipolar? But no, he still behaves the same way. Sometimes he will just want to
Like cheat,
want to, and it's not like the emotional cheating, is the
All
I
the
just
way,
feel like sleeping
yeah.
with someone. I really want to, and then after
I
that,
see.
maybe he has a phase, right? This period of time he will do it every week with different people, but he doesn't keep in contact with these people. Then after
It's
that,
a one-off like
yeah,
hookups.
no contact, no exchange of numbers kind of situation, but he just wants to do it. And then after that, he will be okay for a while, and then after that, you know, he's going through a phase where he starts asking us, "Hey, want to go out?" and I want to go out, and not. Then we like, is there a it's a problem here or a problem here?
Yeah, I think it's a problem
Yeah,
here,
it's-
down there.
Yeah, but then this person he says that he feels bad. He says he feels very bad, but he feels like he just wants to do it. And if he don't do it, he will explode. Not say here, but
Yeah.
like
Metaphorically,
here.
yeah.
So I'm like,
Is there such a condition?
is there an excuse, or maybe it's something that he is
Yeah.
facing also? Because I believe it can come in many different ways, right?
Right,
Mental health issues.
Yeah. I think for me, I think disclaimer is that I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
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 I'm not
I
an expert.
just, yeah.
But I think what stands out to me, like from like your friend's issue, is that whenever it comes to like issues of like sex and all that, right? A lot of people like find hookups and stuff like that because of this need to you know about the dopamine, the hormone. Yeah. So that is a kind of like the feeling that you get from or rather this is the hormone that gives you satisfaction or happiness when it comes to anticipation, right? So actually having sex with different people, right, gives you more dopamine than if you were to be faithful to your own partner. And I think it's this kind of like desire for more dopamine and more kind of variation. Yeah, I think that's kind of like I wouldn't call it a short circuit lah, but a desire or rather an addiction to this feeling of like maybe I'm doing something wrong. Yeah.
So that's more like an addiction.
Yeah, it's
sounded more
yeah.
like
So
an
weird because
addiction.
like he treats his partner very well,
Well,
one,
yeah.
very well one. Nothing to pick except this occasional seasonal situations.
Hookups, yeah.
But we all as friends, right? Obviously, I won't to you. I won't go and tell your partner, right? And not say you abuse her or treat her badly, you're okay. But then like this part I don't understand. 就是他 而且是那种一下子 then 就 okay 了 then 就他可以可能 don't do this kind of crazy thing for a while. Then after that, when it's suddenly back at it again, then stop again, then back at it again, stop again. So it's very weird for me.
I think addiction screams.
Yeah, we
to
all
me.
just say, I mean, friends, we all talk nonsense. You got issues, like that, we just joke it
Yeah,
lah.
honestly, I think he might benefit from seeing a sex therapist. Like, being very like legit, really,
Honest.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, we should suggest the next season.
Next
but
season, yeah.
but 就是需要，我觉得如果 like if you feel that you have some form of condition,
Of
the
course.
best way is to seek professional help.
Yes,
Of course, Ron here today, I mean, like, he already disclaimed himself. He's not a
Doctor.
a doctor or therapist.
Yeah.
So 如果你的朋友有需要 right, I think best way is advise them to go and see a therapist. Yeah, be it
You know, I'm talking about you.
your friend will know, huh?
We know.
Will know, Since we're on this topic, right, what are other form of avenues that you can actually look for help? Let's say you found out that your friend, is having a mental health condition, or maybe yourself.
Yeah.
What are some of the avenues that actually people can look out for? Yeah, that you can share.
I think first thing is to rank kind of the severity of how bad you're feeling. So let's say you know yourself that maybe you're at risk of suicide. I think first thing is to actually call a hotline. Yeah, so whether that be even the emergency hotline, or I know that Samaritans of Singapore has a hotline. Maybe you can flash it on screen or something. Yeah, so those are for the more emergency cases.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's say if it's like for a less serious condition, like let's say you feel like you have depression or anxiety, I think one possible avenue is actually the polyclinic has quite a affordable kind of like therapy.
Oh,
Yeah.
polyclinic nowadays.
Yeah, it depends on the polyclinic, but
Right.
like for me, I went to my neighborhood polyclinic and they had therapy services available.
Nice.
Another avenue, of course, is to actually confide in your loved ones, in your friends and your family as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, confiding in the loved ones is something that I did when I was facing the problem. It's just that, of course, like I said, my mom didn't really understand it, but my
right.
wife, she sort of knew something was off
yeah.
because I was having all the telltale signs of what you mentioned. That period of time, I didn't have a will to wake up in the morning. I feel very tired every single day. Like I drag myself to work. Then my performance is just very, very below the par because I was having that that condition for almost 2-3 months every single day. It's like every single day that she can feel that at the start, maybe first week, second week, she felt that maybe you are just having a bad time.
Right.
Maybe you can pull yourself out from that, but after 1 month, 2 months of that, then she feel like something is not so right.
Yeah.
So she started talking to me. She started to coming like really sit me down and try to ask how's my day. Try to be just physically more close to me, to monitor myself. And then that's where I also talked to a friend of mine who had a similar condition, which also he also went through depression, but he got better. So he actually gave me some advice, told me that okay, maybe you should try to. I was a bit self-aware actually. I was thinking, how come I'm feeling this way for such a long period of time? I have never experienced this in my life, and I didn't know I had depression. I was just like, okay lah, maybe I really just had a bad day, and this period I was just feeling very stressed out, and maybe you'll be better next day. I was mentally telling myself every single day, but you wake up, right? It's a totally different story. You don't feel the drive at all. You don't feel the drive to do anything, basically. And every time I go, like what EE has, right, is that if I go to a higher ground, the only thing that I came to my mind is, what if I jump down? Like, what will happen? Will my head break first? Will my leg break first? Or which part of my body will break first? It's very weird thoughts in your head. Yeah, so after that talking to that friend, then he told me that, maybe you can change your lifestyle. Start exercising and try to really rework your entire day schedule, like change it to another set of schedule that you have never experienced before. So I think I was self-aware of what I was having. I forced myself, okay, maybe let me just try to do it. So I started going for gym sessions in the morning. Then I go, then I changed my schedule to enter office much later.
Right.
Then I try to mix with different bunch of friends, right? Somehow, for me, because I don't think I have went into really bad scenario yet. So after about 2-3 months of gymming and reinventing my daily schedules, I just out of nowhere one day I felt those feelings were gone.
Nice.
Yeah, it was that kind of like, wow, you just suddenly felt that, today actually I feel normal. I didn't even realize until that happened. So I guess exercise, you're changing your kind of your lifestyle helps. I mean, for me, it worked.
Helps a lot.
Definitely. I think a few things stood out to me when you were talking about your story just now. I think first thing is we all have certain intrusive thoughts. Yeah, so that's when the kind of thoughts that you had when you're at a high place or maybe when you're driving. So I think that's a very telltale sign that.
So that's one, right?
Yeah, that something is off maybe. Also, a side note is that if a friend maybe, let's say, expresses that on social media as well, I think that's a telltale sign. But I think really the main point is that a lot of people think that for depression and other conditions, right, it's all in your mind. But then actually it's not really the case, because when you change your lifestyle and you change the things that you do or your behavior, it also has a positive effect on your well-being as well.
Yep.
So I think for depression, how I would compare it to is like your focus is not really on like going super forward at a blistering pace, more of like staying afloat. Yeah. And so when you change your that goalpost, right, you kind of judge yourself less. And then when you focus on, let's say, for you, you went to the gym today and that was an accomplishment.
Yes, I think that was one of the things that I felt like every day I go, because I was training with the trainer.
Right.
So he will give you some certain goals to hit. So if I complete it, when I finish the session, you somehow felt a bit better every single day.
Exercise always makes you feel better.
Yeah. Is there something that people will encourage? Like if, let's say, you are experiencing, of course, I think you are still at a very mild stage. Because when things start to progress, if you're already in a very deep state of like mental health conditions, sometimes like even this kind of exercises, it doesn't really elevate. Yeah.
So I think for me, right, what I would say is that it's not just exercise, but the concept of like small wins, right? Baby steps, right? And they really accumulate, right? So it doesn't even have to be going to the gym. It could be even like a daily walk, right? A walk around your neighborhood. And that is something to be proud of, because you measure yourself not in terms of the size of the accomplishment, but in terms of the effort that you put in. So if it took you like a lot of effort to get out of bed and actually wear your slippers and then go out and then take a walk, right? That actually deserves celebration in itself.
And we don't celebrate our small wins a lot.
Correct.
We also spoke about this, right?
Yeah, the beginning of episode.
Beginning of
he said, I'm like, help.
Yeah, and actually that small win, right, focusing on that one small thing instead of like a dramatic change, right, can actually spark more changes and more small wins in itself. Like how, like, going to the gym leads to a better relationship with alcohol. Sometimes you could even like change your relationship with your family as well, or your loved ones. So having and focusing on that one small thing or a few small things can be much more beneficial than trying to focus on a big, like, dramatic lifestyle change.
If let's say we have, like, we sort of touched on this before, if we have a friend like EE, what would be the best avenue where Kylene can do, aside from what was being shown in the film? I mean, she did try to arrange a counselor, but EE just shuts off, right? Like, she just doesn't want to see a counselor.
So I think the first thing when it comes to like helping someone else, right, is a lot of the time we just jump into giving them solutions, giving them advice. So this is helpful, of course, but I think what people need, especially during the first few moments of being in contact with that person, right, is more understanding and more validation and more empathy than actually trying to like solve their problem.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you try and solve someone's problem, sometimes they feel like they are the problem. Yeah. So whereas if you make some effort to understand, let's say, why is EE feeling this way? So when we understand that could perhaps be the root issue, right? Maybe we can explore some of that as a friend. Maybe like ask her, why do you feel so why do you feel so maybe like obsessed over this person, and what exactly is kind of the root belief that she has? So maybe let's say you get down to it, she feels insecure if she doesn't let's say have someone or a partner, right? So if a root issue is insecurity, right, then you have a good kind of sense of what you can actually do to solve the problem, instead of, let's say, really like telling her to go and meditate, go exercise.
Right.
Yeah. So
by giving her a pair of listening ear to start off, I think it's something that all of us, I mean, as friends, if we encounter someone like that, I mean, that's the bare minimum all of us can do. Then from there, we try to decipher what is the cause.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes you really can't do that. I think that's the realm of like a professional.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, but what I like to say is that there's a difference between, sometimes we like to, in the end, as a friend, we like to, let's say, let's go on a walk together. I think that really helps, and that's something that's within our capability as friends or like family.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between pushing statements, which is something like, you are crazy, go visit a therapist, or like you're fat, go and like exercise. So those are pushing statements as compared to encouraging statements, which is like something like, hey, sometimes when I'm down, right, going for a walk or going to the gym makes me feel happier. So how about let's do it together? Even if you don't have a mental health condition, right?
Yeah.
Let's say taking a log of how many times you've gone to the gym, or how many times you've eaten healthy, and then realizing the progress that you're making. What they say, like, what's measured is managed. Yeah. So it's a really, really kind of good way to make progress in your life.
And it feels more healthy also.
Exactly.
And less enabling.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to be here with you thick and thin. You can call me anytime, even when the cockroach is on the floor.
Yeah.
But it's more like we can do things together to help you find your small wins.
Right.
Find your small wins and
Yes.
maybe buy her a tub of like Ben
Ben
and
and
Jerry's.
Jerry's.
Yes.
Brighten up the day, ma.
Exactly,
But sometimes it
exactly.
really might, just brighten up her one day. I mean, that's one small win
Yes.
in that one day, you see.
Yeah, I mean, if someone came to my door with a tub of ice cream, I'll be very, very happy in that sense.
I mean, slowly, I think we are, and today we are doing a topic like this, and we're trying to acknowledge, mental health condition is something that it's not a illness per se, like you're not siao, you're not crazy, but it's something that it can be treated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's okay to sort of normalize it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay to normalize it.
Normalizing this, I think, is important.
Yeah, like how we normalize flu. We even normalize COVID now.
Exactly.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, we have another story that actually being sent. I think I just wanted to share this as well 啦，因为这次除了我们这个 short film， 还有另外一个故事，我觉得it's good to let people know and really, like we say, normalize it, because these are the situations that we don't want to get ourselves into. It's also pretty sad. So I just summarize it lah. Okay. So this is anonymous. So this was during my NS days. So basically a guy lah. I had a junior. He's someone very happy, go lucky, and we loved him like a younger brother. But one night, I had a missed call from him, but I didn't call him back for whatever reason. Although he usually texts more than call, the fateful night, I just didn't call him back. Next morning, I received a text say that he jumped down from his block before he booked in. Yeah, so he was in his uniform. A letter was found in his pocket, and it's to his girlfriend that we didn't know he had. After that, we went over to his place and realized that his family is actually quite tragic. His father is no longer around, just his mom and his elder brother who has mental health issues. So beyond this happy facade was a sad family background which he didn't show us. So till now, I'm still very paranoid when I receive a missed call. So this is almost similar to what happened in the first story, and we want people to recognize mental health issues. And I think for him, his family has backgrounds, mental health issue backgrounds. So the more, I think, we also did docus on a few other profiles back then when we were doing it for NCSS. And normally when your family line runs with mental health condition history, right, there's a higher possibility that you or your next generation might have it. So it's good to keep a lookout for lah. So if you know that person's family has mental health issue histories, then it's better to just keep a lookout for that person. Before something like that happen. So it's more, I think, from the very beginning of the podcast, the first thing that I had in mind is like I really wanted very badly for an episode for mental health. It's because of these reasons lah. And through this episode, I also hope that we can just give out the right messages to people who are listening.
Yes, create the awareness and letting them know that it's okay to have it. Right?
Exactly.
Just seek
no
help.
shame.
Just normalize it. With that, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience and methods that we can take to help ourselves and our loved ones and friends. And also not forgetting Ben and Jerry's for the awesome ice cream.
Okay, 我们也不要忘记，其实we want to call out for the next 3 topics that we want to do for the subsequent podcast. Okay, so these 3 topics are monster in-laws, innocent third party, and unplanned pregnancies.
So please send in your stories, because end of the day we want to pick the best one, and we are going to write a song and film a music video for you.
Yes.
Right? So 记得要记得要把你的故事杀过来给我们。
要send进来你们的故事啦。Okay, then with that, thank you very much, Ron, and 谢谢你今天来我们的 podcast。
是，希望你喜欢那个 ice cream。
很喜欢，很好吃。
好的 ，So with that， 谢谢大家收听我们的只有欢乐没有慢热，
只有特色绝对炙热的最佳播客 Sip and Tell。
我们下一次见，拜拜。
I want more ice cream。
和我们分享你的故事，发送到以下电邮地址 ：share with us your stories. Send in via the email below. advertising.sg@view.com.
View.